Today, we're diving deep into a truth most people fear to face, that sometimes staying broken is what makes you unstoppable. It's not about being perfect or having it all figured out. It's about embracing your scars, your struggles, and letting them fuel the fire inside you. Because when you stay broken, you stay dangerous, ready to turn your pain into power. Let's get into it. Pain is proof you're still alive. Use it as fuel. Most people run from pain. They numb it, bury it, avoid it like it's some kind of infection. But pain isn't weakness. Pain is a signal. It's the fire alarm in your soul telling you something still burns inside you. You don't feel pain when you're dead. You don't suffer when you're empty. So when it hurts, good. That means there's something left, something real. That means you haven't surrendered yet. The world's going to hurt you. That's not a warning, that's a promise. People will betray you. Life will break you. Everything you thought was solid will eventually collapse under pressure, but that's not your defeat, that's your forge. The fire doesn't destroy steel, it tempers it, it gives it strength. You're not here to be preserved in perfect condition. You're here to be used, broken, rebuilt, sharpened. Every scar is a reminder that you didn't die. Every ache is proof that you fought, that you're still standing. You think the pain makes you weak. It's the opposite. It makes you sharp. It makes you dangerous. Because once you've been hurt deeply and you're still breathing, you learn something nobody else knows. You can survive anything. That's a power most people never unlock. They live soft. They live safe, but you're different. You've been dropped, smashed, left in pieces, and still here you are, not polished, not healed, but alive and aware, and full of a rage you haven't even begun to tap into yet. Don't try to silence the pain. Let it speak. Let it scream if it needs to. Let it remind you that you still have something to prove. The moment you stop running from it, you can start using it. Pain is energy. It's raw power, the kind of power comfort can never offer you. When everything inside you hurts and you still keep moving, that's when the shift happens. That's when they start to see the edge in your eyes. That's when they stop laughing. That's when you become a threat. Nobody trains in luxury. Nobody grows in peace. You think killers are born in comfort. You think warriors are raised in safety. No, they're built in the storm. They're built by every ounce of pain that tried to bury them, and they learn to dig their way out, not just survive, but come back with fire in their chest and steel in their spine. You're not broken. You're open, cracked wide so that nothing false can survive inside you. What's left is real, pure, ruthless. That's the version of you the world fears, the one that didn't flinch when it hurt, the one who used agony as an advantage. You're not waiting to be healed anymore. You're using the wound like a weapon. Every step forward you bleed, but you never stop walking. Let them think you're broken. Let them assume you're done. That's how you stay dangerous. Hidden behind pain, disguised by your own chaos. Nobody sees it coming, and when it hits, it's too late. That's your power. That's your edge. That's your silence, loaded like a gun they never knew you had. Pain never leaves, but you don't want it to. It keeps you honest. It keeps you sharp. It reminds you that you've suffered too much to ever go back to being ordinary. Every time you think about quitting, remember what it took to get here. Remember how it felt when everything was falling apart. You didn't crawl out of that hole to be average. You didn't survive the fire to live soft. You want peace, earn it. Until then, stay in the war. Stay broken, stay dangerous. Broken people don't fear destruction, they've already been through it. When you've already been shattered, you stop being scared of breaking. You've been through the worst. You felt the sting of loss, the weight of betrayal, the silence of being ignored, left out, underestimated, and yet you're still here. People like you, people who have known what it's like to have everything fall apart, don't walk the same as everyone else. You carry something different in your eyes, a certain stillness, a certain storm. See, destruction doesn't shake you the same way it shakes the soft, because once you've seen your world collapse, once you've had the ground ripped out from under you, fear becomes a joke. You don't panic when things start crumbling again. You don't run when life throws chaos at you. You've already tasted rock bottom. You've already been reduced to ashes. So what's left to fear? You've already lost things that mattered. You've already bled, already begged, already been broken in ways that would make most people fold. But you didn't fold, you adapted. There's a kind of quiet power that comes from surviving destruction. It's not loud, it's not flashy, it's cold, focused, calculated. You move differently when you've been through hell and come out the other side. You stop flinching, you stop second guessing, you stop needing approval. What can they threaten you with? Failure, you've failed. Abandonment, you've been left. Pain, you live with it. That's what makes you dangerous. You're not out here trying to protect some perfect image of yourself. You're not afraid to fall again because you've already seen how strong you are when you're down. They don't understand that. People who have never been truly broken, they still think they have something to lose. That's why they hesitate, that's why they hold back, but not you. You're past that. You know that if everything around you burns again, you'll rise through the ashes again. Slower maybe, angrier, but stronger. Always stronger. They want to scare you, they want to threaten you. They think pressure will crush you. They don't realize pressure is where you live now. You've made a home in it. Pain is familiar, doubt is routine. Fear, that left a long time ago. What's left is clarity, precision, intensity. That's the version of you the world never expected, and now they don't know how to stop it. When you've already been broken, you realize that destruction is just another season. It comes, it hits, it tears everything apart, but seasons pass, and when the smoke clears, you're still standing, a little more scarred, a little more distant, but unshaken where it counts, and every time it happens, every time something tries to break you again, you feel less and less afraid. Because deep down you know this isn't new, this is familiar, and you've survived worse. You've got nothing to prove to anyone. That's the power in being broken. You're not out here playing for likes or begging for validation. You're not chasing fake respect. You've already faced yourself in the dark, and you didn't blink. That makes you untouchable, not because nothing can hurt you, but because nothing can control you anymore. Not pain, not failure, not fear, and when you finally realize that, when you fully accept what you've been through and what it's made you, you start to move with purpose, with venom, with silence. You stop explaining yourself. You stop waiting for things to get easier. You accept the chaos. You become the chaos, and that's when they really start to worry, because they can't threaten what's already been destroyed. They can't shake what's already endured the worst. You've been through fire, and now you walk through storms like they're nothing. People fear destruction. You don't. You walk through it like it's a second home, and when you leave, you take pieces of it with you. Not as weakness, but as fuel, as memory, as proof that you've already been broken, and you're still not done. Silence becomes your weapon when no one believes in you. There comes a point when the noise around you becomes useless. The opinions, the doubts, the fake encouragement, it all blends into background static. People say they support you, then laugh behind your back. They smile to your face, then bet on your failure the moment you walk away. Eventually, you stop listening, you stop talking, you stop explaining yourself to people who have already made up their minds, and in that silence, something dangerous starts to grow. You realize you don't need to prove anything to them. You don't need their approval, their applause, their permission. You learn to operate without the cheers. You learn to move in silence, and when no one believes in you, that silence stops being a weakness. It becomes your weapon. Because silence is focus, silence is hunger, silence is the space where all the real work happens, where you start building without needing attention, where you sharpen without showing the blade. When you stop defending yourself to doubters, you reclaim your time. When you stop reacting to every opinion, you reclaim your energy, and suddenly all that noise you used to drown in starts to fade. All the voices that said you couldn't, that you wouldn't, that you weren't enough, they lose their power. Because you stopped giving them your attention, you stopped giving them your words. Most people talk too much. They talk about their dreams, they talk about what they're going to do. They post every small move online like it means something. But the loudest ones are usually the weakest, the most desperate for attention. You're not here for attention, you're here for results, and real results don't come from noise, they come from silence. From discipline, from grinding when nobody's watching and nobody's clapping. Silence makes you unpredictable. It makes you invisible until it's too late, and that's the beauty of it. While they're busy watching the loud ones, you're stacking wins in the dark. You're building something that doesn't need hype, that doesn't need validation. It only needs time and pressure. That's how diamonds are made. That's how legends are born. You ever notice how the ones who are really dangerous never talk about it? They don't announce their moves, they don't explain their reasons, they just show up and change the entire atmosphere. That's the kind of presence silence builds, the kind that doesn't beg for respect, it demands it. Quietly, completely, without warning, you're not silent because you're weak. You're silent because you've heard enough lies, enough fake support, enough empty promises to know better. You're silent because you know that the loudest thing you'll ever say is what you become. And when no one believes in you, silence is your response, your rejection of their doubt, your refusal to beg them to see your worth. And yes, it's lonely, but loneliness teaches you who you are. When the noise is gone, you find out what you're really made of. You stop pretending, you stop performing, you look in the mirror and you see what's left when all the noise is stripped away. That's where the real you lives, that's where the weapon sharpens, so let them talk. Let them doubt, let them think you're done, let them forget your name, because you're not done, you're just silent. And when the time comes, when the work is complete and the edge is sharpened, they won't know what hit them. Because while they were laughing, while they were watching someone else, you were becoming a storm in silence. No threats, no warnings, just results. Let the silence speak for you. Comfort makes you soft, suffering sharpens the blade. Everyone wants comfort. Everyone wants the easy route, the short cut, the smooth ride. But the truth no one wants to say out loud is this. Comfort kills potential. It lulls you to sleep. It makes you forget what you're capable of. It convinces you that good enough is enough, and little by little it dulls your edge until you're just another body moving through life with no fire, no hunger, no bite. You weren't made for comfort. You were made for war, for struggle, for storms that stretch you so far you have no choice but to evolve or collapse. Comfort protects you from pressure, and pressure is where you grow. It's where your instincts sharpen. Where your decisions get real, where your excuses die and your standards rise. You think staying safe is strength. Strength is built when it's cold, when it hurts, when you're tired but you keep moving. When no one's watching but you still show up. That's what suffering teaches you. It strips away the extra, the fake, the soft. It brings you back to the core. See, when everything's easy, you don't change. You coast. You get used to the soft pillow, the warm routine, the illusion that things will always be this smooth. But when pain hits, that illusion shatters, and suddenly you're forced to look in the mirror and answer one question. Who are you when comfort is gone? When there's no safety net, no backup plan, no soft landing, that's when your real self shows up. That's when the blade begins to sharpen. Suffering doesn't just hurt, it reveals. It peels back all the layers of laziness and pride and shows you the truth. The weak break, the strong bleed, but they keep going, and every time you survive it, every time you face the pain and walk through it instead of running, your blade gets sharper, more focused, more lethal. You don't become ruthless through peace, you become ruthless through fire, through failure, through the kind of pain that breaks your ego and builds your discipline. You want to be unshakable, go through hell and refuse to quit. You want to be respected, earn it in the dark, not on stage. You want power, then get comfortable being uncomfortable, because suffering isn't just part of the process. It is the process. It's the training ground where real warriors are carved from the soft shells of average men. Every rep that burns, every step that hurts, every lonely night you don't quit, that's where you sharpen the blade. People chase happiness, that's their goal, but happiness fades, discipline lasts, pain passes, but the edge you earn from it stays. And that edge is what separates the ones who want it from the ones who get it. That edge is what gives you the ability to move when you're exhausted, to stay focused when everything's falling apart, to keep climbing when your legs are shaking and your mind is screaming for comfort. But you don't listen because you know what comfort does. It makes you soft, and you didn't survive everything you've been through just to go soft now. They'll call you cold. They'll say you've changed. Good. You were never meant to stay the same. Every scar you carry, every failure you've eaten, every time you suffered in silence and showed up anyway, it changed you. It refined you. It cut away the weakness and replaced it with fire. You're not like them anymore. You don't need easy. You don't ask for relief. You ask for more weight because you know what happens when you carry it. You know who you become on the other side. So no, comfort isn't your friend. It's the enemy. It whispers lies. It offers rest before the job is done. It tempts you to lower your guard, to slow your pace, to blend in. But you weren't built for that. You were built for war, and war demands pain. It demands pressure. It demands that you suffer long enough to find the edge, then sharpens that edge until the world can no longer ignore you. That's why you train in the dark. That's why you embrace the hurt. Because comfort makes you soft, but suffering sharpens the blade. You don't need fixing, you need focus. Everyone's out here thinking they're broken, like they need to be rescued, repaired, rebuilt from the ground up. They walk around believing they're not enough because someone told them so, because life knocked them off balance, because they've failed or been rejected or fallen apart a few times. So they start buying into the lie that something inside them is wrong, that they need fixing, but that's not the truth. You're not broken, you're distracted, you're scattered, you're surrounded by noise, pulled in 100 directions by people who don't even know who you are or what you're capable of. You're not failing because you're weak, you're failing because you haven't locked in. You haven't cut the fat, killed the distractions, and gone all in. You don't need therapy for your ambition, you need clarity. Ruthless, unapologetic clarity. You've got the fire, you've got the drive, you've got the instincts. They're buried under the weight of self, doubt, overthinking, and fake expectations from people who have never walked a mile in your shoes. It's not your soul that needs healing, it's your focus that needs direction. You're trying to do too much for too many. You're wasting energy trying to fit in, please everyone, live up to standards that were never meant for you. And every time you try to fix yourself, you chip away at what makes you powerful. You start thinking the edge is a flaw. You think your intensity is a problem. Your rage, your hunger, your obsession, all of it starts to feel wrong because it doesn't match the soft, safe version of success the world keeps feeding you. But the truth is, what they want you to fix is the very thing that sets you apart. The fire in your gut, that's not something to fix, that's something to focus. You don't need more advice, you don't need more hand holding. You need to get still, get quiet, shut everything out and look in the mirror. Ask yourself, what do you really want? What are you willing to bleed for? What's worth burning for? Because once you answer that, once you find that one thing, everything else becomes noise. Focus kills confusion. Focus silences doubt. Focus doesn't care how many times you've failed, it just wants you to show up again. And when you give yourself fully to one mission, one path, one purpose, suddenly you realize you were never broken. You were just too distracted to see what you're capable of. You keep thinking you need healing, but what you really need is commitment. You need to stop apologizing for being intense. Stop dialing yourself down to make others comfortable. You're not too much, they're just not enough. You don't need to soften your voice, you need to sharpen your aim. You need to decide what matters and then cut everything else off. That's how killers are made. That's how legends are built. Not by fixing every flaw or patching up every wound, but by locking in, zoning out the noise, training through the pain, grinding in silence. Focus is brutal. It demands sacrifice. But it will take you places healing never could, because healing is about feeling better. Focus is about becoming better. You've been through enough already. You've suffered, been betrayed, doubted yourself, doubted by others, all of it. And you're still here, not because you were fixed, but because you refused to quit, and that's the piece you've been missing. Not a fix, a direction, a target, a reason to burn. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting to be whole. You've always been whole, you just haven't been aimed properly. Take all that pain, all that energy, all that chaos and focus it like a weapon. You've got everything you need inside you already. What you don't need is to be rescued. What you don't need is to be fixed. You just need focus. Stay underestimated. Stay unbothered. Stay lethal. Let them sleep on you. Let them think you're nothing. Let them misread your silence, your patience, your calm. That's the advantage. That's the weapon. The longer they underestimate you, the more dangerous you become. Because while they're too busy watching the loud ones, the flashy ones, the ones begging for attention, you're moving in silence. Calculating, preparing, training, and when the time comes, you won't need a warning shot. You'll finish what they never saw coming. Being underestimated is a gift. It gives you room to move, space to grow. Time to sharpen. People don't defend against what they don't respect, so stay under their radar. Let them laugh, let them talk, let them assume. They think you're too quiet, too calm, too average. They don't know the war you've been through. They don't know what's waking up inside you. That's why staying unbothered is so important. You don't respond to noise. You don't react to disrespect. You don't explain your moves to people who won't understand your mission. The weak get caught up in emotion. They want validation. They want revenge. But when you're truly lethal, you don't need either. You don't waste time arguing. You don't chase claps or comments. You just build. You stay cold. You stay focused. The ones who are always talking are usually the ones doing the least. But you're a storm building in silence. You know when to strike, and you don't miss when you do. There's strength in restraint. There's power in silence. You don't need to convince anyone of what you can do. Just let them find out the hard way. Let your results do the speaking. Let your presence do the damage. Because when you're lethal, the threat isn't in your words, it's in your walk. It's in the way you carry yourself, the way you move through rooms with intention and zero need for attention. The underestimated ones, the quiet ones, they're the ones who survive the longest. Because no one sees them coming. No one prepares for the person they think is weak. But weakness isn't in being overlooked. Weakness is in trying to be seen before you're ready. Stay low, stack your wins. Train when no one's watching. Show up without the need to be celebrated, and when the moment comes, deliver without hesitation. There's a lethal edge that comes from being unbothered, when nothing distracts you, when no comment shakes you, when no betrayal breaks you. You become untouchable. You start making decisions with precision. You stop reacting emotionally and start moving with intent. You don't fight every battle. You only swing when it matters. That's the difference between being strong and being dangerous. And the truth is, they don't expect it from you. That's why it works. That's why it hits harder. They expect you to fold. They expect you to crack, to explain, to cry, but you don't. You hold the line. You take the hit and keep moving forward, and that scares people more than any threat ever could. That quiet strength, that steady grind, that refusal to break, even when they push every button they can find. So stay underestimated. Let them doubt you. Let them talk. It only makes your silence louder. Stay unbothered. Keep your peace intact. Don't let their chaos become your distraction. You've got a mission. You've got a fire, and nothing they do or say can touch it unless you let it. Stay lethal, keep sharpening, keep evolving, keep showing up with no warning and no mercy, because when it's time, when you're ready, they won't know what hit them. If you're still standing after everything life threw at you, you're already dangerous. Don't let anyone tell you to fix what makes you powerful. Embrace your brokenness, sharpen your edge, and keep moving forward with relentless force. Thanks for watching. Stay strong, stay sharp, and as always, stay dangerous until next time.